By the time Jason Bowman was in high school, he was a star basketball player and the life of the party. However, most of his life outside of school revolved around drugs.
I would say by the time I graduated high school, I was drinking 4 days a week, heavily. I was smoking marijuana probably 6 days a week, 7 if we could, and then probably hallucinating on LSD or mushrooms or something, 1 or 2 days a week.
Despite his increasing drug use, Jason got a full basketball scholarship to a junior college. While he focused on fitness during the season, drugs demanded his attention when he wasn't on the court.
Right after the basketball season got over, I should have been back in the gym, but instead I was sitting in my apartment bored, and I knew somebody who had drugs, and I knew somebody who had some money, and I didn't have any money or drugs, and I put the two together, and I had $100 in cash in my pocket, and I would say after about 2 or 3 months of selling drugs, I'd gone from making $100 in a couple hours to making $1,000 or more, and so I started experimenting with methamphetamines, and I thought, man, this is great. I don't have to sleep at night. I can just sell more drugs, and so I was really using a lot of meth and cocaine, and then also selling marijuana and LSD.
When Jason returned for the second year of basketball training, his body was too weak to keep up with the competitive college play.
I was just a wreck, like I hadn't slept for a week, and I thought for some reason I could still perform at a sober level, and I found out in a day and a half that there was just no way I could. And I gave up my basketball scholarship and flunked out of school, and just was focused on drugs and the drug trade in our area. And I look back at some situations where I probably almost died, probably should have died, overdosed. I mean, I would take drugs for 7 or 8 days, methamphetamines, and not sleep, not eat. But I was able to justify it, and it's amazing what you're able to justify. It's amazing what you're able to normalize.
Jason continued to live recklessly until a song caught his attention one night during a drug binge.
We're headed to a party at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and the stereo over this band says, making fun of Jesus, I believe, says, "Jesus Christ looks like me, Jesus Christ." And my friend says, "Oh, that's cool," and he hits repeat. And we listened to that song like 5 times in a row, and it bothered me so bad. Like, I didn't get it. Like, I'm like, who is Jesus? Who cares? Who cares? Why aren't they singing about Genghis Khan? Why aren't they singing about Julius Caesar? It bothered me. Like, why sing? The only thing, and I realized, why, the only thing I know about him is that he lived a long time ago. Really, I heard the name Jesus, and I had to figure out who he was.
Jason knew exactly whom to call. His grandmother, who was a missionary to Africa.
I really began to pray for him at his birth. I had my prayer partners from my church. We dedicated time to pray for our grandchildren.
Literally, I remember picking up the phone and I said, "Grandma, Jesus Christ looks like me. What does that mean?" and she said, "That's great, you need to come up here."
I was on furlough. He came up. I told him that God loved him and that he had a wonderful plan for his life.
She had the audacity to tell me there was nothing I could ever do to get right with God. And then, of course, she turns the page to the next and says, but God sent his son Jesus, and he bridges that gap. And if I'd invite Christ into my life and ask him to forgive me my sins, I could be right with God.
And I said, would you like to receive Christ in your life today? It's possible.
When I saw that, and it was the first time in my life at 20 years old, I said, that is everything I've ever been looking for. I knew that that was the missing element in my life. So I invited, Christ into my life that day, that afternoon with my grandmother.
Jason had a long journey ahead.
I really couldn't even carry a conversation for 30 seconds because my brain was so fried on drugs. I remember my prayers during those weeks and during those days was, every morning it was, okay, God, let today be my sober day. Today, God, I want to be sober.
As Jason went through a 1.5-year process of detox, he held tight to the words of his grandmother.
She said, Jason, you can put Jesus as a part of your life, and things are going to still feel out of place. And believe me, things felt out of place in my life. And she said, but if you put him at the center, if you make your life about him, everything in your life will begin to fall into place.
Jason did get sober and eventually attended Bible college, where he played basketball for a national winning team. That is also where he met his wife, Ashley. When he graduated school, Jason visited Africa for a month with his grandmother to preach. Today, Jason is a full-time pastor.
My excitement does not stem from where I used to be. It stems from that relationship that I can have, that my grandmother first explained to me on that day, that if I put Jesus at the center of my life, I can have a relationship with my Creator again. I've been doing this for 12 years. It works. It works. It still works. You put Jesus at the center of your life, everything will begin to fall into place.
Let me just encourage you never to give up, because God will touch and He hears our prayers. Be faithful. Be faithful.
I'm living proof that He is the way, He is the truth, and He is the life.